another episode of Untitled Car Project.
Thank you. I'm your host. We're your hosts.
We're your hosts. This is a joint project.
All right.
Introduction, gentlemen.
Untitled Car Project, take two.
Season 1, episode Season 1,
Point
episode
two.
1.2.
We'll figure out in the description.
All right. Sorry, listener. This is Jeremy here. Really screwed that one up for you. We had some really good content, and, well, I recorded over all of it. So,
But now we're in a brand new episode and a
Happy
brand
to
new
be
time.
Happy to be back.
Oh, man.
I'm Rob Spring. That is Jeremy. This is Grant.
Hello.
Let's get it.
Okay.
all right.
Rob, what do you got for topics for us today?
Let's start with our top 5 favorite cars. Do you want to go one at a time?
Let's go one car one at a time, one person one
Yeah.
at a time.
We'll go one and one.
One and one.
Yeah.
I like it. Jeremy, you want to start?
Here we go.
Top favorite cars of all time.
Yes.
No rules.
No rules.
Oh, man.
Okay, now that makes it a lot harder.
No rules. Okay.
Where are we talking? Hang on.
So,
No
just for
rules,
the
man.
record,
Okay.
mine are probably going to be a lot different than Grant's, right? And I'm assuming yours are going to be a lot different than mine. I'm going to be honest. I have always
Okay, hold on. Hold on.
That's assuming.
No, it just hit on something because I hear this. If I'm being honest,
If I'm being honest.
are you not honest the rest of
No,
the time?
I'm always honest.
See, that's the thing.
I'm always honest.
And I know I've said that as well. To be honest,
to be honest.
Well, technically.
To be truthful.
I lie to you all the time. But if I'm going to be honest right now, this is not something you want to say to your boss.
No.
So honestly,
Damn it. You usually say that when you're going to say something shitty to somebody, aren't you?
Wow,
it
thank
can
you.
be,
what I
it
mean?
I could be. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Mine's
off topic.
Mine
but I
is
thought
definitely
that was really funny.
mine is definitely going to be different, right?
All
right. I grew up loving
The Volkswagen thing.
no. I grew up loving trucks, right? So one of my dream cars, and now this is not in any order, right? 78 Ford Highboy with a 329. No, 429.
A
sorry.
78.
Yep, 78 Ford Highboy.
What's a high
got
boy?
So they were from the factory. You could put like 38s under them.
Mm-hmm.
So it was basically a lifted truck.
It was basically a lifted truck, and it didn't have an inch of lift, but you could put big tires
Sat
under them,
really tall.
and they looked good.
Very square body from what I
Yes.
recall, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
total square bed, standard cab, 2-door.
Standard cab, 2-door.
Yeah.
Big motor.
With what? What motor?
429.
Oh,
Okay,
big motor.
big motor.
Big motor. Yeah. 4-wheel drive.
4-wheel drive.
Yep.
You could throw mud, play in the snow. You could put your car hauler behind it. You could put your camper in the back. It was a good truck.
Hmm.
Did you ever have one?
No, I had a 64.
If you had the opportunity to buy one today, would you buy it?
If the right opportunity came up, yeah, I would definitely.
Would you
own
buy it as a project? So you can make it the way you want, or do you want, like, you have the idea
No,
of the factory?
I have the idea of the one I want,
Mm-hmm.
and I would buy it that way. I
Mhm.
don't know if I would want to take the time to build it that way.
Okay.
And it would have to have very little rust, if any.
Yeah, not asking for much.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, and
They
I mean,
exist.
what are we looking at here? There's probably a $50,000-$60,000 truck right now with low rust.
Just for that,
Oh yeah,
a good
Yeah.
example of it, probably,
yeah.
which is insane to think because they
Yeah.
probably sold for $2,400 new.
Yeah.
Right. And I could have bought one in the '90s, late '90s, for $12,000.
Yeah.
Oh, still not
Exactly like
bad.
that.
Still not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
On those trucks, like, is low mileage still good? Like,
What's low mileage?
So, like,
50,000?
from my culture, where I come from, going back to my background, is like Italian sports cars and hypercars and supercars. Low mileage would be like 1,000
1,000
miles.
miles, yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
low mileage on a '78 Ford Highboy that somebody actually used that was in good shape.
yeah.
You're probably looking at 300, 350.
That's not low.
No. Well, I mean,
1,000
Yeah.
or miles?
people didn't.
Which one are we talking about?
1,000.
300,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
People didn't not drive them though. I mean,
No, they used them.
Yeah.
If you found one with 80,000 miles on it, you'd be like, this is a gem.
yeah. Somebody parked that and didn't do anything with it.
You
Yeah.
just put it in the garage and polished it with a diaper.
Yeah. They probably drove it for like 2 or 3 years. I mean, they weren't long haul pickup trucks, right? So it would take some time to get that kind of
Oh, yeah.
miles on it.
Mhm.
But
I mean,
yeah.
we're talking. These are the trucks in mill towns that
yeah.
people
Farm-
jumped in.
they were
and,
farm trucks.
Yep,
And
and
they would just
people
go.
jumped in them and drove to work, or they drove to town to get
Mm-hmm.
feed for the pigs or
Right.
whatever.
Mhm.
So, have you been up Interstate 5? So, listener, we are in Northwest
I know
Oregon.
exactly where you're talking about.
Yep.
I
Yes.
have exactly no idea what we're talking about.
I
Do you
have.
too?
No, I said I have no idea what we're talking
Oh,
about.
okay.
I have pulled
That
off
place is awesome.
the freeway
Yeah.
and found that place and walked through it.
Which place are we talking about?
You walked. Did you ask if you could walk through it?
I
or just-
did.
Yeah.
I walked
And
in
they
there.
were like, "Yeah, go
It
ahead."
used to be a business.
Yeah.
So I walked in there and I talked to the old timer that owned it, and I actually walked through all the cars with him and
Find
and looked
anything
at
you
them.
liked?
Oh, fucking everything.
wait,
everything, yeah.
wait,
It's amazing.
wait. Okay, so I just put two and two because I
You know what we're talking about?
well,
Well, we need
no,
to
no,
explain
no,
what
no,
we're talking about.
yeah, because it took me a second because it was like there was no topic involved what you were talking about.
Uh-huh.
You're talking about not the junkyard, but
No.
there's like a place off I-5
Ford Graveyard.
with
Yeah.
that's the best way to put
It's
it.
on the
I know exactly what
northbound
you're talking about.
side,
Yep.
Yep,
north of
there's two of them.
Castle Rock somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably just north of
Are-
the.
Okay, so you're
Is it
talking
Kelso
about
or Castle Rock?
It's,
It's-
well, it'd be
no,
both.
it's before it's
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
Castle. So you're talking about the car graveyard because
It's not a
No, it's a
graveyard.
Ford.
It's a
well
old Ford trucks and Broncos and
'cause
all that stuff are on that.
north of that there's a truck one.
Yes.
South of that there's a car one.
It's the truck
There
one.
is a car one.
Yeah.
You're right.
There is the truck one's the one I'm talking about.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not a junkyard.
No.
No.
It
I
is.
would bet there's a bunch of runners in there. Actually.
Oh yeah, there
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. Yeah. I look at that place every time I drive by.
Most
Oh, yeah.
of them are runners actually,
Yeah.
and they're in varying condition.
Right. Yeah. There's some rust buckets out there, but so
I think I have a
just to describe it a little bit, all of these vehicles are pickup trucks. Some Broncos. There's some internationals out there.
Fords and Internationals.
It is.
if you picked an auto truck trader up back in like the 90s, this is what it would be.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
could-
to
and
a
we're
degree.
looking. We're looking.
So these are
at,
from 60s to late 70s.
and I think there was a couple of late 50s
Okay.
trucks
Yeah.
in there too.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see that.
there were some cab overs I got over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just amazing. And there's got to be 150, 200 trucks.
About that, I actually know
Something like that.
a colleague of mine who I went to school with from Iotech, who went up there I think last year to pick up a truck. He just sells and builds custom 70s, 80s trucks.
So does that guy sell that stuff? Does he
Yeah.
deal in it?
So I don't think
'Cause
it's
I
the
do-
same. It's not the same guy anymore.
Okay.
But yes, he was selling and trading and buying.
Yeah, yeah.
and-
Because it
and
does seem
moving
like
them.
the inventory grows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty neat place. Anybody that likes Ford trucks, man, that place, the old Ford trucks.
Yep.
It's really
I wonder how
cool.
many engines they got because they have to have a stockpile of just engines taken out of those trucks.
I don't think you're taking them out. They're not parting the stuff out.
Well, I think they're
Yeah, but
rebuilding them
if they're
and-
rebuilding, they have to have
sure.
just like not a warehouse, but a good section of just. Like,
They
hey, we
have
got
a pretty big shop
429
back
of-
there.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're on the back side.
Yeah.
And actually the north side they had two shop areas.
Mhm.
One of them was actually a shop. The other one I think he said was storage or something like that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
No, it's pretty badass. And like of those era trucks, I like the old F100s.
Yep.
I think those are cool. I think those are late 60s, something 67, 69.
50s, 60s. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mine was an F100, the 64.
Okay.
And I know back into like the early 50s they had the F100s.
Did they?
They didn't change to the 150s until late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a pretty cool body style.
Mhm.
Like
And
those.
the original Ranger
yeah,
was actually a full-size truck.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's cool to see those.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see them on the road and you're like, ooh, that guy's not getting some gas mileage right
Right.
there. Driving it to the feed store. It's like, oh, that's rough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right?
Me?
Yeah.
Me next? Okay.
I mean, I could go, but it don't matter.
Let's let you go next.
Okay.
Okay.
He's still thinking.
I'm juggling between 8 and trying to reduce it down even further.
I had the same problem. I probably wrote down a list of like my favorite cars because I've been thinking about this topic for a while.
I love seeing it off the top of your head, though.
Yeah.
So much more fun.
I think back to like the cars that sparked my interest as a kid and that kind of stuff. And really one of the most iconic cars and probably my favorite of all the supercars is the Ford GT.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I could own one of those, I would have it right now. I don't even care what shape it's in. We actually have a story about
which GT. There's 3 different versions.
I know.
And that's the hardest part, picking one.
It is. I like the Mark II. They're all so similar to me. It's like I wouldn't be beggars, be choosers, whatever. I would just like, if I had the opportunity to get one that I could afford, because that's the other giant thing, But yeah, I think that's just such an iconic car, and it's so awesome.
Oh yeah,
I would have one of those in a heartbeat. But when I was, oh man, I'm gonna date myself probably. I'll just say.
So you're no longer single. Okay, I'll take your hand.
Thank you so much. Good Lord. Probably 15 years ago. Maybe it was even a little bit more. I was headed down to Roseburg area to help my dad. He was working on his brother's house. Anyway, I was down there just for like a couple of days, but headed up into the hills in Sutherland, Oregon, and I'm just about to my uncle's house, and across the highway, there is a Ford GT sitting in the field with blackberries growing through it.
What?
Yeah. I knew what it was.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Mark 1?
Real? Kit? Volkswagen?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if it was a kit.
So we're going to go back and find this Indiana Jones treasure.
It's not there anymore. But yeah, at the time, I knew what it was, and my mouth just dropped open. It could have been a kit. I have no idea.
It doesn't matter. The imagination takes over.
Exactly.
That's so
right?
cool.
And you're just like, why is that out there? Even if it was a kit, why is it out there with weeds growing through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just remember seeing that. I was like, that is such a waste. It just broke my heart. And as far as I know, it could have been real. I have no idea.
Have you ever seen a real one in person?
I have.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome. Where at?
Two Brothers Museum.
Yeah, exactly. Another one you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they have several.
For the no, they have one original Ford GT40.
The silver one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I thought they had, when I was there,
yeah,
they had displays of 4 or 5 others.
Of like the 60s one?
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they had these big signboards that gave history, the car number, which car it was,
interesting.
where it had originated, where it had been raced, who used it. Like they had the full history of all of these cars.
Yeah.
It was fascinating. I loved it.
When I was there last, they had.
Oh, you were just there this year.
Yeah.
I went down last year.
Okay.
On that same tour, but it was the year before.
Yeah, so they had that GT there, the Ford GT, but in that section was instead just a room filled with Cobras. Like original Cobras.
They did have some Cobras too, yeah.
One original Daytona.
Really?
They had one of the 6.
Wow.
I couldn't believe that.
That's insane, right?
Yeah.
That is such a great museum.
Yeah. I could not recommend it more.
I don't know how many hours in there looking. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. The Cobras, the Daytona, but the Ford GT, just standing in the presence of those cars is just like the history there is just mind-blowing. It melts me.
Exactly know what you're talking about. I mean, that's growing up as a kid, other than Mustang, that was the car I knew because my dad would always talk about the Ford GT40.
Yeah. And
it didn't matter if he saw a new one, saw one, that came out, let's say last year, he always called it the GT40.
Yeah.
Because
that's to him,
that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guarantee, I don't care who you are, you see that car, it will leave some impression on you because nothing on the road looks like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know what? I've seen some really good replicas. Really good. And I would take one in a heartbeat. They're really good. Yeah. Very cool car.
Yeah. Wow. It's up to me now?
Yep.
Okay. So
does anybody make a kit car of that?
Yes. Super Performance makes the best. Well,
RCR. Race car replicas.
You think they make better than Super Performance?
I don't know super performance cars very well,
So-
so it's a question mark. But I
Okay.
know the RCR car is really good.
So to give you an idea, we're going back to the GT real fast.
Yep.
Super Performance, to give you an idea, with their Cobras, to my knowledge, is the only official continuation of Cobras built. For example, just
Licensed.
Cobras.
License.
Licensed from Shelby
Yeah.
when he was still alive.
Can't beat that.
So the cars they built are, fairly, like, for example, Factory 5 has a better Cobra
Mhm.
than Super Performance.
Mhm.
But Super Performance builds it with the specifications of the original Cobra.
Nice.
So with the GT, I assume it'd be the same, building the same specs of that.
Yeah.
And the
think.
other,
I don't know.
the other reason to bring it up is, and I know this for a fact because I called Super Performance 2 years after Ford versus Ferrari was filmed, and I was asking them about, because our family has a Cobra. I was asking them questions about it. They let me know that every Ford GT used in there, and every Cobra used in that movie was a Super Performance car.
It was theirs, yeah.
So, I mean, if it's good enough for film, and you tell me like that,
you can't.
maybe
They put some pretty shit stuff out in film.
CGI.
Yeah, they can cover up a lot of sin, right?
Yeah.
But
But I mean,
get
like
what you mean.
Factory 5's GTM, I think it's what it's called. I haven't seen that one in person, but I've heard that one's not the best.
Yeah,
But you're also building it yourself.
that's tough.
I mean, all these you're building yourself.
Yeah,
But
I very much considered getting an RCR because the cost of the parts.
Yeah.
Now, labor and actually building it is another thing. You know,
Yeah.
that's such a long project. But
I will tell you this: if you fully successfully build any kit car,
you've really managed to do something.
well, not just that, but I bet for anyone that'd be hard to let that go. That is a part of you. That is so much
100%.
time you've dedicated to that project, finishing the project, blood, sweat, and tears.
Thousands of hours.
And you know every nut and bolt that's on that thing because you've laid your hands
What
on
an
it.
accomplishment.
Yeah.
I mean, I really feel like that would just be what an epic accomplishment.
As a guy with multiple projects, I will tell you, it is a accomplishment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We know about that, don't we? Okay.
So,
You are right. We'll get into that.
yeah. So, going on to my favorite car. All right. Let's start. If we're down to 4, I know one off the top of my head of my favorite one of all time. This is a specific one. Growing up with Ferraris, I've had multiple different ones that have been thrown at me in different poster cars. But there's one, well, there's two, but we'll talk for the one that really sticks to me first. Ron Tonkin is a dealership franchise that's around our area.
Yep.
When Ron Tonkin was alive, he amassed not only multiple dealerships, but his one big, to me, a big accomplishment was he was the first Ferrari dealership in the U.S. He was the first one. 1953, I think, was his time, or 57, something like that. And that man loves cars. He would collect cars and have different things on there. But when it came to Ferraris, he would get what Ferrari would give him and would love everything he gives. But he was one of the few people that was considered by Enzo Ferrari a personal friend. And that's huge because Enzo only had a handful of people he considered that. So getting a car from Enzo or getting a blessing from Enzo, especially from a Ferrari aficionado, that is a big thing.
Yeah.
And the car in his collection that I absolutely loved growing up, that had the story, the patina, the taken care of and actually was driven, was his 1985 Ferrari 288 GTO. It's one of it's one of 289 built. The car looks like a Magnum PI Ferrari 308, and most people at the time didn't consider it a great car because it looked like just a 308, a little bit more power. No one considered it good.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it was one of Ferrari's ultimate supercars. 400 horsepower, 2.8 liter twin turbo V8, was designed originally for Group B rally racing. They were building it to homologate for their prototype at the time. I think it was called the GTO or something like that. It's kind of an F40 prototype, and the 288 was going to be the number of cars to get for that. Sadly, Group B ended before that was, but they're like, we have this, we need to put this together. So it's a mid-engine car. I think they're all in red, but I've also seen variations of yellow and black with them. Ron's is a red one. And the reason this one makes it very special, and to me what it makes special, is because this was the last one ever built. And it was given with a letter to Mr. Tonkin himself, signed by Mr. Ferrari, said, to my friend, Ron, I would like you to have the last one ever built of these cars.
Wow. Wow.
And knowing that and the family taking care of that, that car is given love. It's still driven. It's not being tailored away.
Yeah.
That makes it special being the last one, a story behind it. It's
So it
gorgeous.
is number 288, 289.
It's like 286.
Okay.
That's whatever the last one was. I
Okay.
can't remember the number off the top, but it was less than 300 were built.
Uh-huh.
And it was like in the 80, like 280, 260, somewhere in there. But that car, in my opinion, not only from the exterior has a beautiful look, not only does it have a great sound, because the Ferraris with a small V8 right behind you, rev out 7,500 RPM, the turbos kick on around 4,000. And when it does, it really hits hard. So if you're with those cars, with the Ferrari, you keep the power band all the way up always. So you're always in the power. Gated manual 5-speed shifter, clack, 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 going through the gears, running through it. It's not small like a 308 because it's a bigger one. It's a 288. So the interior is bigger. You could fit a full-size person in there. But also at the same time, even though it's built like a race car, it's got AC. May not be the best, but it's got a basic radio. So you can just listen to stuff. No fancy screens, no nothing. It's a driver's car. With those cars in those areas, when you're feeling no power steering, you feel everything through that steering wheel. You feel the suspension. When the front goes up, you feel that. When the back goes down, you feel that. That car on the road is planted and makes you feel like a race car driver. Granted, I haven't driven that one specifically. I've driven other cars, but I assume driving the 308 and other models I've driven that it should have the same effect on that one. And I've talked to multiple people who have personally driven that car, that one specifically. You're not distracted by anything on the inside. Like an F40, great car. Everyone loves that. It's fast, but it's bare minimum. You're driving a race car for the road. It's not comfortable. This one is a car that on the road feels like a race car, but you're still comfortable. You still can be like, I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to pick up my groceries, but guess what? It's going to be an adventure. I can crank up the music. I can roll down the windows, not have a little slidey vent and still look badass doing it.
Yep.
So for me, it's Ron Tompkins 288 GTO.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Great description, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Back to Mr. Jeremy.
Number 2.
If you have to go number 2 right now, it's a bad time.
This is a bad time. They don't have to be in order.
I know.
Okay.
They're not in any particular order.
Right.
And, I'm pulling these out of my ass right now because...
Again, don't go with number 2.
I wasn't thinking about this beforehand. So I grew up watching Tough Truck and Mickey Thompson off-road races and desert racing and stuff like that, right? I fell in love with racing watching desert stuff. So I'm going to say my second one would probably be Ivan Stewart's late 80s, early 90s.
88 Toyota not Forerunner.
The Toyota pickup.
Yeah.
The Toyota, what did they call it?
SR5.
It was an SR5 Desert Runner.
Yeah. Yep. I remember seeing that truck.
I got to sit in Robbie Gordon's.
Yeah.
Nice.
As a kid, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. They carry on those truck competitions still.
Oh, yeah.
Not just desert, you got the Barstow to Vegas and you got the
Baja 1000.
Baja Mint 400.
Mint
all that
400,
stuff.
yep.
Every once in a while on TV, you can catch those guys racing road courses with man-made jumps.
Yep.
Those trucks are insane.
Yeah.
And when they hit the ground, it's like they absorb it.
Yeah.
And then they keep going.
Yeah, they're just planted. And when they corner, they're 3-wheel cornering.
Oh yeah.
Oh, those are so fun to watch.
The front tire is 2 feet off the ground.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It looks sketchy as shit, but yeah, it's cool to watch.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a spin-off of that Robbie Gordon, Ivan Stewart era racing. Yeah, it's really cool stuff for sure. Yeah. I know you and I had talked about Ivan Stewart back in the day, and I don't even remember.
Who's Ivan Stewart?
Iron Man. Ivan
was that
Stewart.
before my
Iron
time?
Man Stewart.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
Okay.
do you know what an Iron Man is?
I like the pew pew
Yeah,
Robert Downey Jr. Are we
No.
talking like Iron Man? Like
So
like
a true
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No.
a true
Oh.
where he got his name, a true Iron Man in
Okay.
the Baja 1000
Okay.
was an individual who raced that from beginning to end without changing drivers.
Ooh. Okay.
Not many people can do that.
Jeremy can.
No.
No.
I don't. Have you ever driven an off-road vehicle like that?
Not to that level.
You have.
I have.
So, even a motorcycle,
Yeah.
if you are to ride or
It wears
drive
you out.
something like that, it'll wear you out, but
Yeah.
it beats the hell out of you.
Yeah.
So for one man to be able to drive a truck at those speeds
It's
For
exhausting.
1,000 miles.
is exhausting,
Yeah.
and you are absolutely spent physically by the time you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Really exhausting, but
Yeah.
just amazing too. Like very exhilarating and yeah. Yep. So he did it multiple times. Like he
Wow.
was the guy.
Yeah, I'm
Back in
trying
the
to
day.
remember like how many people or who has completed that.
Robbie
There's
Gordon-
not very
Robbie
many.
Gordon's I'm sure done it.
Is there anyone like it? Because
Robbie Gordon might have. I don't know if BJ Baldwin has, but
I don't know that
maybe-
name.
is there anything like comparable, like with Le Mans or someone doing that, like for like car racing?
Like a 24-hour.
Carlos Sainz Sr.
Yeah. What was he driving?
He's an off-road racer, just
okay.
and that same kind of thing. Actually, this last year, he won Dakar at 61 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, badass, right? It's
Yeah.
like, that's insane. And actually, don't know who he was driving for. My bad, but
He was in the Ford Raptor.
and it was in a truck, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But and I could be totally off on that mail. Like maybe he's driving for VW for all I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just heard that he'd won the class. Following F1, you kind of hear the periphery of those kind of things. But yeah,
Yeah.
at 61 years old, I thought that was pretty amazing. It's pretty badass, right?
It's impressive.
Jeremy got to put on the specs so he can look up some.
I'm blind. I
Some
was trying to
things.
see who has completed the Baja 1000.
You know, you
on
can
their own.
pinch and zoom and just make it way bigger, so you don't need your glasses. But then again, you don't look as
I
magnificently
didn't
smart.
buy these glasses to leave them in their pack all the time. Okay.
Okay.
Beautiful. We're gonna hold for Jeremy's. Yeah. there we
Pause
go.
for dramatic effect.
How
There
many
he is.
Iron Men have completed the Baja 1000?
Series says. Survey says. Oh God, now she's answering me on my phone.
18,205,000.
Nah.
This might take a while to look up.
All right.
So while you're
moving
looking
on.
up, we'll go back to
Moving on.
Rob.
Okay. So another car in my all-time favorite stable would be the Lamborghini Miura.
The Miura.
Yeah.
Which one?
We're gonna get down to specific years or the
No,
models.
there's
I know
models,
there's several
there's-
models, and
the-
I'm not that well versed on it. I just really like the body
The
style.
biggest thing though is this: is it if it's an SV, they
Yeah.
have edginess a little bit to it, like the
Sure.
intakes and stuff.
Yep.
The early ones
Yep.
are more rounded. So what are you
Yeah,
more?
I like the little bit later ones.
yeah.
But overall fan of the car. I just think it's so classy.
Yeah.
The
first
classy,
supercar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sports car, like really early. I don't know. It's kind of romanticized almost, right?
Mhm.
I've never seen one in person.
Really.
Yeah, never have.
If
It's kind of a bummer.
so,
but-
if the Tonkins still have them, because again they have a huge collection, and if there's times they do let the public go in
Oh, yeah.
or people,
Yeah.
I believe Tonkin had 2 or 3 of them,
Wow.
and they
That's
are.
awesome.
As a kid, because I went there a bunch as a kid, I remember them. Especially later times, I more appreciate what I was seeing.
Sure.
But yeah, no, those are definitely an interesting. And
I
cool
could be
car.
more disappointed seeing it in person than I
It's small.
think. Oh, I know they're
Yeah,
super
they're small,
They
which
really
is
are.
crazy because on the
It-
poster,
They look so cool.
yeah,
And you're just like, size doesn't matter, right?
yeah.
But no, I just think it's such a classy car.
I've
like,
never
for a
heard one
sports
start
car.
up, but because the V12's sideways.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the sound? You're hearing all 6 cylinders on one side, right behind your head.
Yeah.
There's 12,
Yeah.
but it's not longitude. You actually have a whole wall behind
Sound
you.
deadening was not good in those cars.
Exactly. It's got to be one of the. I bet you it's one of the best sounding cars.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Hands
So I don't
down.
know. I hesitate because I don't know a ton about the car, right?
Okay.
It's just
Would you like me to tell you about the
it's,
car?
It's purely a visual thing for me for that car. I
Okay.
would love to see one in person, right?
Have you
Never
seen it with
have,
the
but-
doors open? Like on pictures of that, or know what that's about?
Yeah, and I have seen plenty of interior pictures
But
and
do you know?
whatever. And
But specifically the doors. Do you know what I'm bringing up?
Tell me.
So the doors, if you look at them, the back end of them actually curve up,
Mm-hmm.
and when they're open, the one design is it made it from the front look like bulls with horns.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So that was one big key element they wanted to.
that's cool.
The other thing is, I believe that car. I mean, that car. There's a whole documentary about it on Haggerty about how that car was built, and when they originally came up with the idea, it was just an idea. They're like, "Oh, we're thinking about making a mid-engine car." No prototype at the auto show at that time, and they got 12 investors to invest in it. But next year, they had the first prototype.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, the person who designed that car was a 24-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, I will agree, it's a beautiful car. The lines on that thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, good one.
Yep.
So.
Also, well out of my reach, right?
Nah,
it's like,
no.
It's one of those things that's just like, well, I guess if I won that $1 billion lottery,
Yeah.
maybe I'd go searching.
It's so weird because I grew up when I was starting to get into cars. Those cars were affordable,
I know.
and affordable. I mean, not like an every man go, but someone
But
working hard
still,
could get one.
Yeah.
I believe even back like in the 2000s, they were only like maybe 130 grand.
Yep. And things
Or
have just gone
80.
insane
Yeah.
since then. Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, you know.
Yep.
So, any luck, Jeremy?
Not really a good number.
But a rough estimate.
Not of those that have completed it.
Okay. Rob, I forgot to ask you, what color would you have your Mira?
But there is
That's
a
tough.
list
I
of
know.
That is really tough.
Yeah.
My goodness. You know, honestly, one that I have seen that I can't tell you if it was in a factory color or not,
Mm-hmm.
but it was kind of a muted green.
Not the lime green, a muted
A
green.
muted green, yeah, not
Okay.
lime. I do like the lime for some
Yeah.
reason. It's very flashy, but
Oh, yeah.
but more of a muted, drab olive muted green. I thought was really cool. Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about. And technically, I have that color. It's a whole different story, whole different time. A
Okay.
different project car I have. But
Oh yeah.
I have a car that is supposed to be that color and is a halo car.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of upset the community because I'm like, it's rare, it gets hit that, but I can't see any other color than the color it shows.
Yep.
Different story, different time.
Yep.
Okay. So back to me.
Yep.
I can name off more Ferraris, but I'm gonna choose a whole different car, completely different. Christopher Nolan's Batmobile. That is one car I've always wanted to make, like a movie car. And there's a few that are in my mind, but there's going to be a car when I'm retired and I want to spend some time building. That's going to be one I want to build, screen accurate. I think any Batmobile, no matter what age you are growing up, there's always one that you're going to have. Either the 80s, growing up, 90s
Sticks out to
cartoons.
you.
It's
Yeah.
That is a car that Batman has that's like, that is a marvel. That's amazing.
Yep.
For me growing up, not only was amazing, but that car did its stuff. It did those jumps. It had
Really?
a rocket on the back.
It really
of it.
did it.
Yeah.
In the movies.
Yeah, you can watch the behind the scenes of the first Dark Knight movie. They expected it to be breaking, and 80% of all the stuff they did with it, it kept running. When it had the scene where it jumped through the water and landed, they kept filming because it didn't break.
Huh.
You know, and they had those scenes where it was going up to, 80 miles an hour. They were top speeding that thing with
What's the
those
base?
tires.
What's the base of that car?
None.
No.
It was made from scratch.
Oh, built from scratch. Okay.
Christopher Nolan, when he made the first Dark Knight Rises, says, I am not doing this movie unless we build a Batmobile. And it needs to look good because everyone knows about Batman, but we have to have something that's going to be the chase scene, the thing that's going to catch people's attention.
Right.
And I think they pulled off really good. There's not another vehicle that looks like a tank mixed with a car, mixed with a superhero that is feasible in this world because it drove. It wasn't
What
CG.
years did that one come out?
2005 to 2009.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to visualize which one. I've seen a bunch of
The
Batmobiles.
Tumbler.
Yeah.
Oh, you just grab your phone and Google Tumblr. I should say Batmobile tumbler, because otherwise they'll be like, install this app right now.
No, I don't need that.
You know,
Okay.
they built the front suspension on it has wheels that turn inwards of outward like a normal car, and they based that off a car from I believe the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, that's the one I was. Yeah, thinking
Yeah.
it was. Yeah.
You know,
All right.
but can you imagine wherever
I
that car
mean,
will go, it will get attention.
That thing is pretty badass for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, good lord.
And there's so much.
It
references.
does look like a military tank vehicle, attack vehicle.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah.
Oh, the tumbler? You wouldn't be interested in that now, would you? It was designed as a military for jumping long bridges.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's in the scene.
You
We'll
haven't
go
seen
for it.
that movie 100 times.
No, probably.
How many versions of that car are out there?
3, 4, 5. So the first movie had 1, and that was one that consisted of it. The second movie had the same thing, but it had a built-in bike, so technically kind of 2.
I remember
When
that.
it came to the third movie, they got rid of the tumbler. There was access tumblers, and those were the military version that they were going to put in production in their world. And there was 5, so they had cannons, and they were tan. They were built for going to Desert Storm, and those that's too military. That for me, it's the iconic black.
It says here you can buy a replica for $400,000.
That's actually not bad. Not bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Your movie recollection is amazing.
It really
Thank you.
is. It astonishes me every time movies come up how
Yeah.
he can recite all that stuff. It
Yeah.
just like how do you have room in your head for that shit?
I have room for everything, and then some.
Let me tell you, as you get older, it fills up.
Yeah.
You start deleting shit because you don't have room for it.
Then
We're
I gotta
gonna
make.
file this one somewhere else. Funk.
Yeah. There's a few movie cars I want to build, but I think for the all-time favorite one I want to at some point is going to be the Tumbler. That will be the car that when I'm 60, 70, I will either finish or attempt to finish or leave for the next person to. But I think that's the car that I'm.
You know,
going to
that's
be
a
building.
realistic timeline for you.
Yeah.
Knowing what's in your garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I also know
Wait,
there's gonna be at some
what
point
year?
where, huh?
When he's 60 or 70.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like when I'm more retired, and think about this, doing that with my kids, if I have kids, they'll be like dads in the garage.
You should
working
have
on
like
their
4
Facebook.
of them to help you with that.
Yeah. Oh, could you imagine 4 grants?
Yes. It would be.
You gonna make them hold the
It'd be like
flashlight
a-
for you?
It'd be a bouncy house.
Oh man.
Wow. Okay.
Hold still, you little fucker.
Every kid's got the hold the flashlight story.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Number 3.
Jeremy, you're up.
Back to me,
Yeah.
huh? Let's go with a car this time.
Okay. Not a boat. You sure?
Don't tempt me with a good time. Yeah, let's go with a car this time. I've always really liked the Shelby GT350.
Which one?
It is a 68?
Okay.
60.
I don't know.
I think it's a 68.
They made 66, 67, and 68.
Okay, that's what I was going to say, but my Mustang history is not the
I
strongest.
think they made a 69 one too, but don't quote me on that one.
Yeah, I really liked that body style, that era of Mustang.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see myself owning any other Mustang except for maybe the Mach 1 Fastback, the early 70s.
My old man had one of those.
But the Shelby GT350 was the one that I loved.
Yeah.
It was a gorgeous car.
Was it a poster car for you? A magazine car for you? What made
no,
you get that
a friend of mine's dad actually had one,
one? Mm-hmm.
and I got to ride in it a few times. It was super uncomfortable in the back seat, but
They didn't have back seats.
not very big.
That's
of a
probably why it was
back seat.
uncomfortable as a roll bar.
But that car was fun.
Oh yeah, I bet.
That car was fun.
Did he modify it at all?
I would hope not, as a freaking Shelby.
Yeah, but
Oh, back then they didn't care.
Yeah.
They weren't thinking
True.
about value moving forward.
it was a
Yeah.
race
Much
car.
like we don't think about it now.
Wow.
I mean,
Kind
it
of.
does take a
Kind of.
real man
Kind of.
to be able to cut a perfectly good classic car up into something better.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
in the
and make it
60s,
into
that wasn't a classic
race
car.
No, it was just a
no,
new car.
but when I got to ride in it, it was.
Okay.
I mean, it was in what 90 would have been 93,
yeah, by that
94?
time you're like, yeah, you don't touch that.
yeah.
Because, yeah, I think
Yeah.
some of the people, they put GT40 heads or long tube headers on them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but
I mean, he might have done that. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah.
Nice. Good pull.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, back to me.
Back to you.
Oh. All right. So the list of my cars is aside, I guess the GT40 is somewhat performance car by today's standards. It's not really. Not
Oh, it hands down is.
well. No.
It still can do 300 miles an hour on the salt flats.
Well, that's not really what I mean. I mean straight line. Sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cars that go fast in a straight line. Can you turn it?
You put a Ford GT on a turning thing, there's not a lot of cars will keep up with it.
Yeah. That's debatable.
Okay.
We'll talk about that
Another
later.
day.
Yes. Pantera.
That's
Yes!
a freaking cool car.
Yeah. And that's why I say that, because it's not the greatest car. It
Yeah.
had a lot of problems.
Yep.
Cooling issues, braking issues, turning issues.
But when all those are solved, though,
Yeah,
you have
when you sort
perfect
it,
car.
when you sort it out,
Yeah.
it's even when it's not sorted out, it's a damn cool car.
And
Yeah.
it sounded like a muscle.
It was a muscle car. It had a
Yeah.
351 Ford motor in it.
I had to recently describe one to my little sister. So she loves our Cobra. She loves the AC Cobra we have,
Yep.
and she's that's her favorite car. She's like, the problem is, she's like, she's like, but I wish it was like mid-engine. And I'm like, let me introduce you to the Pantera. She's like, what's
Yes.
this? And I described him like Ford, the Cobra, but you put the engine behind you, and it's styled like a Lamborghini Ferrari.
Yeah.
And she's like, that sounds like the coolest thing. I'm like, there you go.
It is the coolest thing. Every time I see one, I just drool on it. It's just like, oh, it's
With-
so cool.
with the wing,
It's
with
kind
the-
of a junker, but it's cool.
Which
Junker? It's not Junker.
Eh.
Which 351 block did it have?
The Cleveland.
Was it a
I
Cleveland?
think it was, or was it Windsor?
Well,
Which one's more rare?
Cleveland.
the
It's
Clevelands.
the Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the wide
Yeah.
block.
Yeah. It with or without a wing, do you like them?
I kind of like it with the wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do look clean without too, though.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's a slick car. I don't care what it's got, but I mean, I kind of like the wing.
I think
it's a
with-
pointless wing. It has no
Yeah,
aero
That's the
efficiency.
same with
whatsoever.
every Lamborghini.
Yeah, same with the Lamborghini.
But it's so cool.
but it's cool.
Yeah.
I don't have no idea how comfortable they are. They're pretty damn loud, and I think the interior is very loud.
I've known a few people
I
who've
don't
had
care.
had some. Actually, I know a person who had one. I believe it burned down in the house fire. A few of them
that's
did.
sad.
Yeah, because it was his collection. He lost it, but he loved that Pantera.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, yeah. And I know
Honestly, they're
Jay
still
Leno.
semi. Yeah, Jay
Yeah,
Leno.
Jay
has
Leno
one.
has one, and he had one on his show as well, and
Yep,
he could
I saw
not
that
stop
one.
raving about it.
Yeah.
He said,
Well, he had all the issues sorted in his
"Yeah,
car,
but
too.
that's the thing. Is like
Yeah.
he's like, once you get them solved,
Yeah.
these are the best cars."
Yeah, they're very cool. They're
Yeah.
actually semi-affordable still. I mean,
Really?
50 to 70 grand. Yeah.
No way.
Oh, that's
yeah.
not bad.
Yeah.
There is no way.
Yeah.
They're not 225. They're not 175. Not 150. I mean, even those
They
are still
go up to
affordable.
that too. They go up to that too. I mean, no,
Wow.
we're not talking about a good one,
Yeah.
but you could
But-
still get one to work on to have a project car.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
That would be a good car to have. Do you think would those run on the back 275 wide?
Oh, I think they.
Wider than that.
I think
bet.
they were
think
bigger than
wider?
that. Yeah, I think they were up to 315.
So the Countach had 315,
335.
35. So,
Actually, no, the one at the museum had 355s on it
really,
on 15-inch rims. Yeah, massive,
Yeah,
massive.
I can,
And then you've got like 245s on the front.
yeah,
Talk about understeer. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's so like my Lambo. It's got 245 or 345s in the back and 255s in the front.
I mean, it's still terrible. Is there
don't know.
room for a bigger tire on the front? See, that's part of the issue.
yeah,
When I say they don't steer, they don't. They freaking understeer. Like there's no weight on the front of the car, and you have no rubber hitting the road.
We're talking about with the
Any supercar.
no,
Yes.
no,
Yes. I have McLaren experience.
yeah, and I've got Ferrari experience.
Okay.
What's
So
yeah.
what I found for the Panteras,
Mhm.
there is a wide range
Yes, it's a huge
of
range.
Yeah.
prices.
Yep.
We're looking at just locally right now. There's the cheapest one is 79,500, and the most expensive one is 205.
Yeah. Yeah,
And they are
you can still.
they are vastly different cars.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The anything you're going to look at in 60 to 80 grand is going to need a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you hope that the pan is good and it's not all rusted out.
But
And that
it's,
kind of
I
stuff.
mean, if you don't have to do body work and it's just engine work or train work, those are so easy to work on.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
to get
what
them
I'm
out,
saying
but-
is you can still get one
Yeah.
reasonable.
listener, you need to go get one now.
Go buy me one.
Here's one thing. I guarantee. and
If
this
you
is-
want to fund us.
Taking sponsorship dollars.
I guarantee, once the main media sees that car and knows that, kind of like the Viper,
I'm more
it will
surprised.
skyrocket.
Well, I'm surprised it hasn't already.
Yeah.
And I think it's because people are afraid to work on it because it does have those gremlins, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. There's a wide variety of them out there.
Yeah. Well, not just that. There's a whole different subculture of that. Because, like, for example, if you're in the media, being an influencer at all, you want to have the newest, flashiest car.
Yes.
You want to have an old car.
Yeah.
Because
No,
if you
I'll
got
take-
an old car,
I'd take a Pantera any day.
Oh,
of the
yeah.
week. I love that car.
yeah,
Always have. As a kid, even when I saw it, I was just like, "Oh my god, that is the coolest thing ever!" You know?
yeah,
Just love it. So yeah, that's my number 3.
nice.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I'm trying to think of my number 3. Like I said, it's gonna probably be another Ferrari. And I've got one, but it's more of a personal one for me because it's one of my family ones.
Hey, if it's
But
it's
I
top 5,
Yeah.
I mean, open your horizons, my friend.
Well, because I mean, there's a lot of cars it could be.
Gosh,
like
there's so many
typically,
cars out there.
even with my dream car, it'd be a McLaren F1. But
yeah,
that's one that for me I don't think it's my favorite car. It's a car one experience. It's a car that I've had in my
it's on the
garage.
list though.
It's on my list of cars I want, but it's not my favorite car.
Okay.
One of my favorite cars.
Okay.
I think probably Jeremy talk for 30 seconds. Don't matter what it is.
He needs 30 seconds to muster up what he's gonna say. He can't remember what car it was.
It's if you limit me to 4, it's debating between a few. It's between an F50, a 250 California, and it's between, a 348 Special or a 512 TR.
512
So
TR.
you just listed off 4.
No. Let's break this down. So, to me, a 512 TR
Okay.
is such a classic, iconic supercar.
Yeah.
It is. I love that car.
Yeah.
I don't
It's-
care if the performance is bad, good, indifferent.
So
I love that car. I
that's
just
the-
love the look of it. Right?
I like the
Let's-
F40.
That's
a-
let me.
it's a
that wasn't
cool
on his
car.
list.
The
thought you
F40.
said that.
No, it's
F50.
F50.
Oh, F50.
And there's
Yeah,
a reason between the F40 is a great car, but I mean, the F50 is a V12 formula-based design. Everything about that was a Formula One car,
Yeah.
and not only that, they made less of them. There was 349 built. It has the top that comes off. It still has an interior. Actually, what's crazy about that is you can get more out of it. The guy who made Doom, what's his name? Anyways,
Couldn't
young college guy back in the 90s,
Yep.
creator of Doom, the computer game that was
Right.
on everything from the
was.
Macintosh 2 to the Casio calculators.
Mm-hmm.
With his first fortune, he went to a Ferrari dealership and decided to look at different cars, and he was looked at something because it made millions of dollars back then. And he talks to the Ferrari guy, and he says, "Well, we have the F50 here. This is a great car." And he goes, "I like that. Looks cool. I want to buy it." He goes, "Yeah, just kid, I need you to know, if a Corvette pulls up to you, you got to know you're going to lose to it." He goes, "What do you mean? It's a Ferrari." He goes, "Yeah, but I mean the Corvette. You can't beat that ZR1. It's going to blow the doors off you." That doesn't make any sense. I'm buying all this money. So he takes in multiple Ferraris, but he started with an F50 and was the first one, I believe, to twin turbo it. And there's videos of him drag racing it with 1,500 horses in the 90s.
That's
4.9 liter V12 twin turbo.
Well, good lord.
So, for me, yeah, it's got to be one of those. And it would be how I described the last Ferrari. All of them apply from anything 90s beforehand.
Yeah.
Come with that. The TR, the reason is because the Testarossa is a great car. The 512 refined that.
Yep.
The Testarossa is a grand touring car. The TRs is when it finally became a performance-built car. And the M, which is the final version, the first Ferrari to pull a G on the skid pad, the first one to do Actually, it wasn't, but it pulled 198 miles per hour, 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds, 4.5. It just has a styling that you gotta love. And I'm not the biggest fan. I've know people who are, so I think let's just put for number 3 the 512 TR.
Yep.
The cheese grater slicing grills.
Yep.
It's iconic like the 80s.
It's iconic. Yeah, it's iconic.
You know,
yeah.
but you get the performance too. You
Yeah.
get the pop-up headlights. You get a flat 12 engine.
Yeah.
You know, there's one thing I don't like about that car though, and it bugs me, is the interior. And the reason is because earlier Ferraris all had switches. They're metal switches that you can feel with your hands and move. Everything that came after 88 was plastic. Everything
Rocker
was cheap
switches, weren't they?
plastic. Rocker switches,
yep.
knobs that were plastic, and it didn't feel like old Ferraris
Yeah. They
from
tried
like the
to
70s.
they tried to
80s.
keep up with the times, and it just kind of
Exactly.
cheapened it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Everything in the 70s, 80s, or sorry, 70s and early 80s felt like a watch, a really well-made Swiss watch in the interior. I could tell you about interiors from the 50s. The leather they would use, every Ferrari has been hand built since 2004 back, and back, especially in the 80s, every leather was picked from cows and hand stitched in person, and they are so comfortable. Especially like I was saying, the 51s. I've sat in a 250 GT. It was a GT, so it wasn't a GTO or California. And that, as a kid, was the softest seat I've ever felt.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it literally just melted into you. I think if you were to take an interior of, say, like an early 308 Ferrari and put that in a 512 TR, that would probably be one of the best cars ever built.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
There was a time you could actually afford that car too.
yeah.
They've gone crazy probably the last, I guess, 10.
Okay, here's
10
a
years,
question to ask
15
you guys. What do you think? I gotta know.
Uh-huh.
A Testarossa is worth now, a 512 TR is worth now, and the rare 512M is worth. And you guys, and if you need to know what them is, let me know. I could tell you.
And this, you just want to guess?
I want to guess. I want your
Okay.
best guess because you say not affordable now.
Well, it depends on who you are.
Yeah.
But for my pocketbook,
Yeah.
not affordable.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna guess a standard 512, probably 250.
Okay.
Um,
I also want you guys' guess. Here's
TR's north of that, and there's fewer the M's, so we're talking over 500,000.
okay. Jeremy.
I have no idea what those two cars are. The Testarossa I
Okay.
grew up watching on fucking Miami Vice.
Yep.
Yep.
I would say that's probably a $500,000 car now.
Okay. And then lastly, I want to ask you guys, what do you think the lowest those cars ever were at for price?
80,000.
Okay.
For the standard.
For a Testarossa? Okay.
Might have been a little lower even. They may have hit somewhere around 50, 60,
Okay.
Potentially.
depending on how many miles they had.
All right.
Sure.
So let's start with the lowest, for example. So this was back in 2000, and I know this because for a while my family was searching for a 512M. So I had, and 512Ms was the final version, only made in 95 for America. They made 75 of them for America.
Yep.
Very rare car.
So that's probably millions.
So back in the day, starting out in say like 2005 and going up, the lowest I've ever saw, which I think was during the Depression, for a Testarossa was about 50 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Roughly that. A 512 TR, the lowest it was ever at, was about 199 to 103,
Mm-hmm.
and the 512M, the cheapest I've ever seen them, is 129 to 130 grand.
Yep.
Currently
That
now,
doesn't surprise me. And I figured the low price because, what was that, probably 2010, 2011 or 12, somewhere in there, I came across a few that were, sub 100,000
yeah,
and couldn't remember the exact dollar figure, but yeah, figured right around 80 grand.
Yeah. So nowadays, roughly, a Testarossa has gone up significantly. They're roughly about 130 to 150 grand. The TRs are different, and it really also depends on what year you buy,
Mm-hmm.
which is insane. The TRs can go from anywhere from about 250 to about 400,000.
I'm sure it all depends on mileage and wear and tear.
Not
and
just that. So one thing that's
options.
been
Did they have a lot of different options?
there wasn't, but
Okay.
there's one that was
Okay.
very important. So in 90, even though I said the 512M, they
Yep.
made 75.
Mm-hmm.
In 94, they only made 39 of them.
Of
And that one specifically was the only year with ABS.
oh wow.
So you get the styling of the
Yeah.
with the pop-up headlights and ABS, because the M did not have pop-up headlights. It was fixed in place,
Yep.
different wheels. That car now, the low end is about 500,000. High end, you're looking at 875, 900,000 for one.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
With those kind of numbers, that's not surprising.
yeah.
Do you know, since you are the Ferrari whisperer,
Mm-hmm.
how many are left
Of the 39,
of the M?
oh the M, I don't think there's been any wrecked ones. I've seen that there's a registry online of them, and I think the most I've seen of the registry has been about, I want to say it's like 30 to like 49 of them, something like that. That's registered.
That are registered.
Yeah.
Some are just lost.
Some are lost, but
yeah.
the thing is also that makes it more tough. Two things that make it harder. A, the M actually was continued worldwide. So from 95 to 97 they made 500, but America only got 95, 75 of them.
Gotcha.
The hardest part is allegedly Ferrari, one thing they do, allegedly, please don't sue us, is that if a rare Ferrari is wrecked, sometimes they'll just ship a new one with the same VIN and everything.
No, just to cover it up.
Just to cover it up. That's why right now, again, supposedly, there's more Enzos out there than there was ever produced. There was only 399, and I think the registry people clocked them at over 500.
Wow.
So that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
I don't think with the older cars.
How do you deal with a duplicate VIN and then so yeah, if you wrecked one, obviously, the buyback program, whatever.
Yeah.
Try and rebuild it, salvage title.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's
it's a whole different rabbit hole with Ferrari.
I'll bet it is.
But yeah,
Well, McLaren does the same thing.
No,
I mean,
do they really?
not to that respect. I should clarify that.
Yeah.
They will rebuild, like McLaren F1.
If it's burned to the ground, they'll rebuild
They will
it.
rebuild it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is there's a record of them building it.
Yes, yeah. It's
With-
a little bit different, but I mean,
Yeah.
they will not let one be wrecked and totaled.
Yeah, it's too special of a car.
Right.
But that will be later down the line.
Yep.
Talk about that. Jeremy, what about you?
I'm gonna give Rob a chubby right now.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
It's been a while.
I'm gonna go with something realistic.
Okay.
C5, Z06, wide body kit, murdered out.
In yellow.
No,
Murdered out.
Murdered out.
Murdered out in yellow.
Murdered out is black with black
Black
windows
on black on black.
That's your Batmobile.
with
on black.
wheels.
Any arrow? Wide body kit. You
Wide
got
body
arrow
kit.
too?
I would probably do
Because I think that would look badass.
something that would help keep the front down a little bit better, and definitely
A splitter?
some sort of a wing.
Or like a really fat man in the front?
No, like
He would just sit on the bumper.
Yeah.
splitter of some sort.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
No, that'd be a cool car.
with carbon fiber. the whole
Carbon
nine.
blacked out.
Yeah,
That'd be cool. I've always loved the C5s.
I do too.
They're so cool.
And I saw one recently. I think Riley sent it to me. It's a green one. It's like a satin green.
Army green.
Yeah,
I've seen it. Yeah.
satin army green.
Yeah.
And it's got a wide body kit. It's
Yep.
really wide in the front.
The thing looks awesome.
Rob, how do you know about this one?
I've just seen it online.
Is it, like,
it's-
really
It
famous?
floats around.
Huh.
Just those pictures float around. Yeah. No, that's pretty. Yeah.
It's gorgeous. They're fast cars.
Would
They're
you want the
fast.
Z06?
Great cars. It's such
Yeah.
a great platform.
I mean,
Yeah, Z06.
You
Why
could-
would you settle for anything
you
less?
could go
Because you can
pick
put
a
a Ford motor into it
Z06.
and make it great.
Shut
outta
up.
You put a Coyote motor into it, and then
You'd make it a slow car.
yeah.
I mean, it's realistic, right? You
Yeah.
could go pick one of those up for $23,000.
A
You can
base,
get them cheaper
you
than
can get a
that.
base model for 23.
Well, I think you can get a Z06 even for less than
C5?
some 30.
You can get a
Yeah.
C5 base model for like 12 grand, but if you're going Z6,
No.
Z06,
they're
yeah.
climbing.
Yeah, the last one I saw was about, I think it was 28,000.
Okay,
For a
I can
base
believe that.
model,
I
not a
could-
Z06?
No, a Z06.
It was a Z06.
Oh, for a Z06, yes, I
Yeah.
believe. I'm
A
talking
C5Z,
base model,
I
yeah.
could see 28.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the C6Zs they're insane right now.
Yeah.
Like they're plus 40.
Did they ever make a ZR1 of that car?
Of the C6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I mean the C5.
Don't know. Don't
Okay.
think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Don't think so.
it has to be a C5 for me.
Yeah.
I
Just
just
like that
I
better. You like the
that body
pop-up?
style.
You like the little bit more square in the back.
Interior was good too.
Like the way the window comes down instead of going to the back.
Yeah.
Okay. I like them. I do like that they have a bit of a trunk lid,
Yeah.
a deck, right? Don't get me wrong, I love my C6.
If
But-
you didn't have the C6, would you have a C5? Is there like if you didn't have your C6, what Corvette would be the replacement? Would it be a C8?
No, would not be a C8.
Okay.
I could see myself in a C5. No problem with that at all. But maybe a C7.
Money, no issue. What would be the car?
Oh.
Be like, hey, okay, this is gone because
Depends
I'm
on
upgrading.
my use.
Yeah.
My use
If
case
it was
scenario.
if it was to replace what you're using it for now,
Oh,
for like going out and have fun and on
right,
track.
for track car.
Yeah.
See, I'm intrigued by the Z06 C7. I like that car a lot.
Yeah.
Or the Z51. You know,
So I got a question.
but I don't know if I would want to use that as my track car.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind having one just to drive around.
Yeah.
I did get to drive one autocross last year. Surprised me
Yeah.
that he let me drive it. Joe, thank you. It was so smooth that
And
I
this
felt
is which one?
Joe's car,
The
Joe's
C8?
C7,
C7. Yeah.
Z06.
The maroon one.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It was so smooth. I felt disconnected. It would take time to get used to it because I didn't feel like I could feel the car.
I've heard a lot of drivers have that where they go into a car that is a whole nother level what they're used to.
Yeah.
Like my teacher, Tim.
Yeah.
He drove the McLaren, your guys' McLaren, and
Yep.
I would say for months he told me it threw him off his game
Oh, I know it did.
because of just
I saw it.
the disconnect.
Yeah, for sure. Similar to that, I actually feel more connected to the car in the McLaren. I can feel what that car is doing,
Yeah.
but the C7, I couldn't feel it. Now, granted, I only got like 3 runs in it or something like that, but it was very fast, but also to the point that you didn't know how fast you were going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not by feel or visual. So I like it, like to experience it more, but I got back into my car and I'm like, nah, that's a race car.
Yeah.
You can feel it rattling all around you and it feels rough and it's, you know.
Why'd you hesitate on the C8?
I'm not sold on it yet.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask a question.
Okay.
Am I supposed to be excited about that car?
Yes.
I can't get
The
excited
C8?
about it. Yeah.
Really?
You're not alone.
What? Am I the only one?
You're
Don't-
excited about it?
Don't
Oh,
get me
yeah.
wrong.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good looking car.
Mm.
I
Okay.
have not seen anybody except Joe put down any reasonable times in that car. yet.
He's gonna kick ass on
No,
that.
hang on,
I
hang on,
I
hang
think
on.
he is
He's
too.
gonna
We
smoke.
had one person. It was the
girl.
girl
What's the girl's
driver.
name?
What's her name?
She was
The
driving the
blue-
blue one. Yeah.
Oh, George's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was her,
Mhm.
George's daughter's ex-girlfriend.
Okay, I thought it was his daughter.
No, that's what was
It's pretty
crazy.
good too? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah,
Um,
apparently they stayed
mean,
friends after that.
She got into it. She
drove
put
it
her
pretty
foot
fast.
down.
Drove it
She
fast.
did. She did. I like the way George's car sounds. He put
Yeah.
a new exhaust on it. It sounds mean.
Yeah.
Is that the one that overheated and
blue
had
one,
to leave
yeah.
early?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I'm just not sold on it yet.
I'm
It's
not either.
I've
I'm
heard
not
all kinds of rumors of what they copied and this and that, and I've not driven one. So, you know, it's purely from outside the car.
Yeah.
The most
Um,
impressive thing I saw from the C8 was when Joe spun it.
I know, that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was fucking cool.
Yeah. It was like, all right, somebody's finally
Like,
driving the thing.
whoa,
Yeah.
okay. Now
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to see what. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll get excited about it with Joe behind the wheel.
Yeah.
It'll
But-
be cool.
Just watching those versus the C5s and C6s, I wasn't impressed.
C5 and C6 just has the feeling of power, just the rawness, you know, there's a lot fewer nannies involved.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you can turn as much of it as you can off. You're not going to get all of the nannies turned off in a C8.
Right.
Mhm.
I don't believe. Could be wrong, but that's not Chevy's style. I don't know. It's going to be cool to see him drive it. I do like the styling of the Z06 package much better.
Oh,
than
Oh, I
the
agree
base.
100%.
His is
I
a
am
Z06,
one-
right?
His is a Z06.
100%.
Yeah, the base model kind of gags me a little bit. I just don't like it. Now, George's looks pretty good. His is semi-base. I don't know actually what model he has.
I think with the C8s, the biggest thing is because there's a lot that don't look good, but then there's some that
Yes.
are done really well. Like my
like the
dad's
Stingray.
neighbors. Have you seen my dad's? The white one.
Yes.
It's like white, and it's got like just a red pinstripe just down like the center sides,
Hmm.
and red calipers, and no wing. And normally I would be like, that car needs a wing. That
Yeah.
works perfect.
Yeah.
For me, because I like the Italian styling based
Right.
off that, you know,
Right.
and I like the mid-engine idea of it. But I also am with you where I haven't driven one. I don't know the performance-wise of that one.
Right.
But you can't say that for the price they're selling them at and getting those into people's hands. That's awesome that they're moving that direction.
So
with it.
what's a Z06 C8 run?
125, 150 at
Z-
MSRP?
Yeah, MSRP.
MSRP.
Probably
They're not going
closer
to sell for that.
Probably closer to
Like-
160, 180 by the time it's out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And then what's a
with
base
options,
model?
So-
with options, because there's even in the Z06 package there are option packages.
it depends. So, because did you hear about Chevy's program, what they were doing about avoiding warranties?
yeah.
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 So, I mean, technically they could sell it and then say it's used and then sell it as used and then mark up the price. But
Mhm.
if they tried selling it new for more than the MSRP,
Well, some of the
Yeah.
dealers I heard got in a little bit of trouble doing that.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Just not sold on it yet. Give it a few more years.
Yeah.
Something that irritates me about the supercar market, McLaren, Chevy,
Are we talking
Um,
new supercar
brand new
market?
ones,
Okay.
brand new ones.
Okay, I'd love to hear this.
The fact that the offset front and rear wheel package offset, you're going to struggle getting 295s under the front
Yeah.
of that car.
Yeah.
So making it turn is difficult.
Yeah, it's weird you can't get, like, you can get bigger tires on a Demon or on the Mustang than you can on,
Yeah,
like
they've
a
got
Lamborghini.
room. They've got room for
Yeah.
it. Same with the McLaren.
Which is weird because
So
there's just a trunk in front. There's nothing there.
The McLaren came with 245s on the front.
Yeah.
305s stock on the
On-
back.
on the-
305,
On the
245
720
on the 720.
had 245s. Wow.
Yeah. So serious understeer.
Yeah.
It was just terrible. We did some upgrades. We got new wheels. We got 295s on the front, 315s in the back.
Okay.
Much better.
Yeah.
And put race tires on it. You know, that's another step up.
Yeah.
Change out the braking package. That car performs.
I'm
like,
surprised.
Like you would expect it to with
Yeah.
that. With 315, 295 offset
Yeah.
works really well. Chevy did the same thing.
Yeah.
They didn't leave room in the front of that thing to put a wider tire on it.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Like on our 458, the fronts are 275, I believe, and the rears are 295, which is decent for a super car.
it's a decent offset. At least you're not going to have such a large gap for grip, you
Yeah.
know, so you're more balanced.
Yeah.
At 275s, you could easily put 295s in there. You know there's that much room.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But
even running square on that car would be pretty awesome.
yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, it would.
You know.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother story on
It
how
is.
that car
yeah,
drives.
yeah.
you
So
know.
I don't know. That's my gripe with the C8s. I don't know.
Okay.
Like I said, I haven't driven it. Just been able to be a bystander.
That's going to be one of my.
It's gonna be
one
fun
day
to
is going to be
watch.
a car that I want to have.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a Chevy guy by any means.
Yeah.
But that is definitely a car I'd want to have in my garage.
Okay.
It's a Z06 C8,
Yeah.
and again, definitely want to get behind the wheel. But God, have you sat in one, right?
Yeah.
It's literally a spaceship.
Oh, it's a.
Have you seen
It's
the
a fighter jet
Have you been
cockpit.
inside?
Sure enough, this is where the audio cut off. It's kind of a bummer. We had some really good content there, and we were almost done with our top 5 list. Hang out with us, check out the next episode. Eventually, we'll get things straightened out on this technical difficulties. You can reach us at untitledcarproject@gmail.com or check out our Instagram at untitledcarprojects. Until next time, thanks a lot.